How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Good, man. How are you doing?
Oh, boy. Just living the dream.
Man, I feel for you. I know you've been hustling.
Just wait. Actually, I'm not even going to talk about it on the show. It's too depressing. But
oh, no.
So I actually did some kick-ass shit and got everything in gear. And I was ahead of the game for once. Had about $1,300 in my bank account, which these days, that's a lot. But I got mortgage to pay, and I got a $2,000 Comet bill staring at me. You know, I was going to pay that over the next few days. Looking pretty good. And then I wake up this morning, go check the mail, and I got something from the Department of Revenue saying, we put a lien on your bank account. We're going to take everything you have until we get... This is the third time this has happened, by the way. And I got it ironed out. And we set up payment plans, and nothing has been fucked up. But there's always some goddamn caveat that I've missed in the paperwork or something, some holdover from Radar Station that they're like, oh, no, now it's void. And they never just call me. They just put a fucking lien on it, and they take... I owe, at this point, well, yesterday I owed $1,700 more after 3 fucking years of paying this goddamn thing off. But... So they put the lien on it, and they took out, $1,300. Which they don't put you in the hole. No, they're kind. They'll take whatever they can get to zero and apply it to the overall. So now I still owe several $100. That's the good news, I guess. The bad news is my hard work of getting ahead for 1 fucking week was just completely absorbed into the awaiting arms of the Gov.
Dude.
But,
fuck?
Radar Station is just the gift. It keeps on giving. Fuck it, I am going to leave this in. Who cares? It was quick.
Yeah.
I have people asking me all the time, you got any advice for starting your own business and, things that you've learned? And I know it's a cliche, this kind of response, but I genuinely just tell people don't fucking do it. If you have a business or if you got a passion, like if your passion is baking pies, don't open a bakery. Go work in somebody else's pie shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if that's Sherry's. Start at Sherry's. Start making pies. Maybe something organically will pop up. If you have this lifelong dream, if you think that owning a bookstore sounds like a dream, you just sit around and read all day and occasionally handle customers. Well, it could be, but start working in someone else's bookstore. Just go if you're going into a business because you have this vision or a dream life, you're going into business for the wrong reasons. I know we hear all the success stories all the fucking time about I had a dream and I followed my dream. And it does happen sometimes. But business especially, this doesn't really apply to artistic endeavors and passion projects themselves. That's a totally different thing. But businesses, you need a business plan. You need proper funding. But more importantly, you need to be honest with yourself. Is this business wanted? Is this business needed?
Is this filling a need?
The answer to that question is almost always no.
Yeah.
So then move on to the next question. Why? Why are you trying to start a business? And then if you have a decent answer for that question, then you can go on to, okay, the hows. Even then, I got 100 other checklist things for you before you actually try to start your own business. But
so, sounds like Radar Station's going well. The Comet's going well.
The Comet's going well, but Radar Station just won't die.
Yeah.
But, the good thing, you guys missed it. Welcome. I was just complaining about the Department of Revenue putting a lien on my bank account this morning and taking every penny I had, which...
Oh, what the fuck?
The good news is it wasn't a terrible amount of pennies, but it's more than I've been having in there lately. And now I'm looking at mortgage and Comet payment with $0 in there. But looks like I'm about to sell a big chunk of art and I'm owed money, and I'll figure it out. I always fucking do. But it's like, this is the thing. 2 steps forward, 12 steps back. And I swear to God, the harder I try, I never had financial issues until the last few years, ever. I never had money, but I never had issues.
Yeah, you've always been, pretty stabilized.
Got by. And I still get by, but it takes way more effort. And, I'm just a few years shy of 50. Can't be chasing this shit down forever. That's why I said last week, it's fucking sustainable. I gotta find some sustainable ass living. But anywho, I do gotta say, I'm proud of myself for how my coping skills are going, because for about 5 minutes, I was like, God, motherfucking damn it. I was just like, what can I throw at what? I don't want to just throw a thing. I want to throw a thing that's valuable at another valuable thing and get a twofer here. I'm going to destroy 2 things. But I didn't. Just took a few deep breaths, made a phone call, figured out what happened. Partially what happened.
You don't have to go into the whole thing, but
just because I missed some sort of fucking. We set up a payment plan, and the payment plan was going. All of that was fine, but there was one form that I didn't fill out completely. This whole bullshit. There's always a form you missed, and then like, oopsie daisy, just kidding. We're gonna need that money back, and we're gonna need it with interest, and we're just gonna take everything we can. So that's what happened, and that's the other thing. I had to admit, well, this is all because of me. This is because I got behind on my excise taxes when, Radar Station went away. I mean, that wasn't my fault, but I was living pretty fast and loose with the cash that was coming into Radar. I mean, the audacity of trying to pay my mortgage. But the reality of it is nothing, not one single penny that I made in that business should have gone anywhere outside of that business. That's the reality of starting up a business. If you want to pay your bills with that business and the business bills, good fucking luck. That should not be part of your business plan. That's why they say it takes 3 to 5 years to figure all this shit out, because you basically need income from somewhere else just to pay your bills. You need to put every fucking penny that you make in your from your business back into the business. And that includes getting all your shit tidied away in a timely manner. And I wasn't doing that. So when Radar Station stopped, I was already in trouble. And there was nothing doing. And, I took out that business loan, right? 1.5 months before I found out that I had to move out. Had I not done that, I would be 20 grand less in debt.
Oh, no.
But you gotta just suck it up, deal with it.
That's brutal.
But it was a brutal day, brutal morning. But anyway, what did you ask me anything about that, or did I just go into it?
I don't recall at this point, but
really
it
wasn't
sounds like an
planning on
awful
talking
fucking sounds like a brutal time. Well, I kind of asked how you were doing with things, and
you said,
this is how I'm
seemingly
doing, man.
benign question.
Yeah.
No, it's just it's chaotic right now, and I think I don't know what
for me to you, brother. All I could say is that over the years, and I've said this before, over the years, and especially with 3 years of dealing with the cancer and all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And dialysis every other day, is that one of the hardest things for me to learn was to not give a shit about the things you have no control over.
Yeah.
And it's something said, but to actually live that is really difficult. I tried for
it sure is.
Dude, for years not to have that mentality, but I could never achieve it.
Yeah.
Until I got sick, and then it was like, you know what, fuck it. It really doesn't matter. Nothing matters. You know what I mean?
Well, I think about you and your situations, and I think about a lot of other people's situations that I know are way more fucking challenging and way more daunting to just start the path of getting back to any kind of normalcy. And that does calibrate my, yeah, it's not like I'm trying to gaslight myself. I still allow myself to feel the stress of it to some degree, but it does put things into perspective. But I also think about you because one of the things you told me when you were going, what I think you talked about on the show, was when you were looking at all this stuff and you looking at the bills and you were looking at all the treatments, and then You just had to take it one step at a time, and you had to take it one day at a time. And there's no other way you can fucking do it. It's just like, I can't even think about tomorrow right now. Let's just get through today and try to make, you want to prep so that tomorrow might be a better day than yesterday. But again, it's not always easy to do. It is often easy to just drink half a fucking bottle of whiskey and feel bad for myself and shake my fist at the heavens. But then tomorrow I'm just hungover, and that's money that could have gone back into my my bank account, and that's not a good cycle either. So yeah, it's worth persevering in the positive mindset aspect.
And you got us bros, we're here for it.
Well, I got to tell you, I have been helped in so many ways over the years, mostly from my parents. My parents are broke. We're just a broke folk. And money is not something that we ever really pursued, and we never really understood. And that's a two-edged sword. It's bad because money kind of follows money. And when you don't have money, it doesn't tend to just kind of come easily. Yeah. And it doesn't tend to be a mindset that is easy to change and a lifestyle that's easy to change. And I'm not even talking necessarily about the whole like manifestation or law of attraction idea, which I do think there's some truth to, but I think it's more practical in just a habitual thing. But the flip side of that is that we're good at living, simply. My house is chaotic and lots of exciting things going on there, but as I've talked about, most of it is just bullshit. But it's cozy and it's fun, and I've had an interesting life, and that's all I really care about. So that's the flip side to that, is that I don't put money as, I've never seen money as, well, that'll fix all my problems. It's kind of the same thing in reverse. It's like, this just takes care of something today. There'll be something new tomorrow, and I'll need to find money for that. It's just the never-ending cycle, and we all go through it in varying degrees. But anywho, the point is, I can see how easily a fella could just end up homeless so fucking quickly if you don't have people that, over the years. I can think of 3 or 4 times in the last 20 years where if I didn't get a little bit of help, and I'm talking about just this is not little, but a few $1,000 to take care of a problem that was already pegged in the red. If you can't fix that, you miss your mortgage too many times, then you're just done. What do? You're gone. You've lost it. And then maybe you can maintain a job, and maybe you can't. And you can see that 1 or 2 pins of the overall tumbler are just out of place, and everything is just chaos. And I feel really fortunate that I have had people, and including friends, that have helped in any way. And that includes, by the way, people that want to buy my art, because God knows that is paying way more bills than Radar Station ever did, and probably ever would have. That baffles me. And I really should just give up all these other endeavors and just focus on being an artist, which is a dream life for most people.
You'd be so bored though. You have to be doing different things. Yeah.
Well, you do got to focus on things that you can control.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. You got to be humble, and you got to be real with yourself. It's like, what could I control? And there's a whole list. We all got a list of things like, I keep thinking I got to delete all these or cancel all these subscriptions, because I got, between Amazon and Netflix, and I'm always watching something, but I'm rarely watching anything a lot.
It's almost like you should just do one a month and then cancel it, fire up the other one.
Yeah, it seems to make sense, but I'm paying for quite a few. I'm paying for, lower middle class type entertainment. I can't afford them shit. But it is true. It's like, well, that's the thing I could do. I could cancel all those and probably save $100 a month. And it's like, well, I don't want to. Stupid shit like that. But it's time. It's long past time to grow.
Are you right? Are you still with the cable or?
No, but like I said, you got Hulu with no ads. You got HBO Max. I can't remember what I'm sharing and what I'm paying for, but I got quite a few. Got to be paying for at least 4 or 5 of them. And I think if I stop to add it up, it's like, this can't be. The biggest one is Sling. I'm paying like $40 a month for that, but that's because I get all these peripheral like sports stuff. It's the cheapest version I've seen of that. And every time I think, I better get rid of that, it's like, oh, well, baseball season. Then I'm like, oh, we got the Premier Leagues. The football season's just around the corner. I'm like, God damn it.
Man, it's hard to walk away from that, isn't
it? Yeah, but I need to. Or just not look at it that way and take on more work. Because
see what else. See what you can mooch off of your friends and pare it down, you know?
Well, they're getting better. Mm-hmm. They're cracking down on that. In fact, has anyone had any repercussions? I've heard people saying that they're now getting the business from Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. But it's coming.
So
they're all going to do it.
So this is a shameful plug for somebody I'm not getting any money at all from. But if you at home have a Fire Stick, there's a company you could look up on the internet, and it's ILML TV, and I guess it's supposed to be out of Texas, but it bounces. It's like Canadian TV, but for $20 a month, and that's all it is. $20 a month. You get like over 5,000 channels. It's stupid.
It's that
how many
all?
channels?
Can you imagine flipping
not
through
enough.
that?
It's not enough.
you get 3 History channels, like 5 Discovery channels. There's porn on there. I mean, there's for $20 a month, and that's
now I'm listening.
So a Fire Stick will get you free TV, and then you get that. You know, obviously you have to have an internet, but they have $20 a month, man.
Well,
what a better deal are you gonna find?
Well,
and it's like TV.
Aiming the binoculars in the neighbor's window to find their TV. If I could dial in the audio, well, that would be the better option.
Well, a lot of people don't know about that, but you just go online and you basically pay monthly, and you get all that shit.
Well, a lot of people don't break the law, Lyle.
It's legit. It's a legitimate company. So.
Well, I believe that it's a company.
Legit.
$20 a month for 5,000 channels.
5,000 value. Like 1,000 of them.
That is a doozy of a value.
Okay. I'll tell you the reason being is because they have a lot of different copy channels that are in different languages. So there's a few of them, different languages that they have those TV shows for. You know, like say Cartoon Network, they have it in Spanish, they got it in French, they got it in Italian. You know, just like salad dressings apparently. But
I promise you, my brother and I are responsible for getting the Cartoon Network in Wenatchee because we were on a campaign when we first heard that it was a thing. In the 90s, we were late to get cable. We were like, we called every day. We did 3 or 4 different voices every day requesting the Cartoon Network. Like, yes, very good. My name is Walter Johnson, and I was informed that if we called in and requested the Cartoon Network channel, that we might get it. And we did it over and over and over again. I don't know if they ever caught it. It'd be hilarious if they had caller ID in the offices.
Man,
it was like, wow, these people are insane. And then about 2 or 3 months of that, out of the blue, we got the Cartoon Network, motherfucker. So you're welcome.
You look at each other like, what?
Yes, I do understand. It was probably nothing to do with us.
Just hug each other, jumping up and down, grabbing each other's butts.
We done it, boys. What do we do now? I guess we watch Cartoon Network.
Well, you know, the cool thing too is that they got old timey cartoons too on there, like 24/7.
I loved Cartoon Network when it first came out.
Yeah, well, this is kind of like a version.
Pretty wonky.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is like Scooby Doo. It's got
all that classic shit. Then that kind of became what TV Land was. TV Land was better when it first came out too, because it was all like Leave It to Beaver and the Munsters and shit like that. Good stuff. I was just watching me some Leave It to Beaver the other day. Well, we should move on because we got lots of feedback to get to. We got a couple news stories. But before we get onto that, any
that channel alone
you guys wanted to shoot? But say it again, Lyle.
I said that channel alone could save you money right there, bam. My gift to you.
Well, fuck yeah. I'm just afraid I wouldn't be terribly productive with 5,000 channels to ignore.
7 channels of porn. Oh my.
Yeah. Watching a porn channel seems so funny to me. And
Yeah, this day and age, right?
I mean, I guess watching any channel seems funny where
Yeah.
it's just you watch what's on. That sounds so strange. That's how we did TV for 90% of our lives. And yet, just a decade or so past where most of us started getting rid of the cable and the satellite scenario, it seems so foreign, doesn't it? It's like, let's just flip and see what's on. That seems weird. Just having to watch whatever's on is crazy.
Well, even if you have just cable now, most of that shit's on demand anyways, right? So
Yeah.
you can be like, I missed Farmers of America. I better go back and watch that one that just played an hour ago.
Classic.
Farmers of America. You've been
Classic.
holding out on me.
Classic porn.
Yeah.
That is some good stuff. I do kind of have a thing for farmer's daughter porn. But not just any old farmer's daughter. It's got to be the weird German shit from the... I've talked about this before. I got a weird thing. I think it's because that's what they would play at late at night on Skinamax and HBO back in the 80s. And anytime I'd stay over at my friend's house and they fell asleep and be like, clicky, clicky, clicky. There was always... It didn't matter if it was after midnight, at least one... You were going to see some sort of softcore porn, and for some reason, a lot of it were these crazy, like, German sex comedies. So I have a thing for dirndls.
What the fuck is a dirndl?
Women in dirndls, like the German, it's like the female version of lederhosen, I guess. You know, those puffy, that's the St. Pauli girl outfit.
Okay, I get it.
I mean, they're hot. There's no mystery why I've got a thing for them, but I have an extra thing for them because I think my sexual awakening grew along with dirndl porn. But there was always like these crazy farmer's daughter stuff. And the Germans, at least in the 70s when these movies were being made, Germans love... This could be a troubling connotation, but Germans love people fucking in barns while animals are watching them. There's usually some hay falling on them. You know, the bale of hay is inching closer and closer as they're fucking up against the horse feeder. And then they always cut to the cow like, then a horse. Like they find that shit hilarious.
Old Cat in the Rap.
Set to like the craziest music too. It was rarely Bavarian, even if it was Bavarian porn. It was like weird, like
It's like fucking South Park
like
intro.
The strangest fucking music. It's like it's no wonder it's so burned into my head. This is some very specific ass shit. So I think that's where my farmer's daughter stuff. Someone's always getting a pitchfork in the ass when the farmer walks in to feed the pigs and sees his daughter getting cornholed.
Oh man!
Yeah, that's always the caveat.
Mine was always talking about farm girls. I'm thinking about like Dukes of Hazzard, you know, like Daisy Duke.
Yeah, Daisy Duke was definitely tying into a little bit of that vibe.
Either that or Marianne from Gilligan's Island.
Same thing. Yeah. Little farmer's daughter actually was straight off the farm. Dorothy. Oh, wait. No.
Yeah.
What was she, 15? So many troubling stories from her being on the set of Wizard of Oz. And like
we did a whole show on that, didn't we? Or just
I'm sure we've talked about it several times over the years. But yeah, tragic what we men have done to young women over the years just because we could. I mean... just go. Well, I'm gonna get away with it. Terrible. Any old who. I do have a few news bits before we get on to feedback. I saw this. This is interesting. It came out a couple months ago, but an 830. I feel like we haven't learned anything about tempting fate, and we should have in recent years, especially. We should have, but this next story leads me to believe that we have not. An 830 million year old crystal that was discovered might contain life, and we're about to crack it open. I'm I know. Now, resources. When you said you were drinking, I was like, I better get caught up. I usually don't start until I hit record, but shotgun an IPA. Researchers studying some really old salt crystals found them preserving something else. Evidence of life. There are little, get a load of this, Chris. You're going to like this.
I don't think I am.
There are little cubes of
I am going to like this.
The original liquid from which that salt grew. We got ourselves a square shit in nature scenario.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Never get that.
And the surprise for us is that we also saw shapes that are consistent with what we would expect from microorganisms, said Kathy Benison, a geologist with West Virginia University. And they could still be surviving within that 830 million year old preserved microhabitat. How is that even fucking possible?
Just not into this.
It's like a crystal ant farm, really.
Life finds a way.
Okay. I know this is impossible to not think of Jurassic Park, but goes on to say the salt crystals that Benison and her team studied were originally found in Central Australia. Benison was part of the team that published these findings in the journal Geology. We know by studying life in modern extreme environments that there are organisms that are able to undergo like a survival mode, almost a hibernation. Now, what movie are you thinking about? Something like fucking Alien? They are still alive, but they slow down all of their biological activities. It goes on to say, Benison suspects that if there are in fact microorganisms in the crystal, they could be alive in a dormant state. The crystal would need to be open in order to confirm this, blah, 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 blah. Skipping ahead here, this is key. While cracking into that crystal may seem like a bold choice, we're currently battling a global pandemic caused by a microscopic virus, after all. Benison plans to do just that, but she said, there's no need to worry. Quote,
of course.
It does sound like a really bad B movie, but there is a lot of detailed work that's been going on for years to try to figure out how to do that in the safest possible way. So she's not saying we have nothing to worry about what could be inside of this. She's basically saying we've been thinking about it for a long time.
Don't worry.
Where we could safely do these experiments in cracking.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, we shall see, because they're doing it. I mean, there could be something amazing in there. Cure for cancer, the cure for baldness, erectile dysfunction.
This reminds me of
laser it open right now.
Well, this reminds me of the crystal skulls. And remember, they were said to supposedly hold like information of the world's creation, but they had no way to actually get that data out. Everybody kind of knows that quartz crystal holds memory, so it like data in general. The old
just like jizz.
cop scanners. The old cop scanners,
just like jizz, Ron.
Little
crystals. That's
crystals in there.
You plugged them in for each frequency. Speaking of antiquated technology.
So you never know. I mean, they could have some kind of like whole civilization in there, maybe.
Well, we shall see. But yeah, I think I am not pacified by her response to, all these questions. Like, well, doesn't this seem risky? It's like, no, we've thought about how to do this in these, what did she say? The safest possible way. And I don't know, man. I don't feel good about it, but we'll find out. Hopefully a superpower comes out of it, or a cure. You never fucking know. And if it is the seventh seal, if you will, then maybe a quick and speedy death. That's all I can hope for at this point.
I'm sure it probably is.
Did you guys see this fucking Burger King story? Burger King was discovered, like a complete intact vintage Burger King was found behind a wall in a mall.
What? Like functioning, or just like an old relic of the past?
It's an old relic of the past, not the too distant past. Well, it's interesting because this mall was doing some construction, and then literally just punched a hole in one wall, and they walked in, and it's an entire Burger King, Look this up.
Wow.
Look it up so you can see pictures of it while I'm reading the details here. Just put in hidden Burger King or Burger King found behind wall. It's been a big story, but it's essentially left as it was. It's like they cleaned up for the night, put the close sign on, and walled it over. It's fucking crazy. So here are some news deets from Newsweek. A vintage Burger King hidden behind a wall. Isn't that awesome? It's like, doesn't look like it just closed yesterday.
Yeah, that's crazy. Huh.
Vintage Burger King behind wall in a mall in Delaware has been compared to a time capsule. Untouched for more than a decade, Concord Mall possibly has the oldest still intact Burger King restaurant in the world. Now, according to Newcastle County Executive Matt Meyer, in a clip shared by Newcastle County government's Facebook page, Meyer and Thomas Dalke, is that his real name? Dalke. Meyer and Thomas Dalke, Dalek is a great last name though, general manager of the mall, uploaded a tour of the retro eatery. Super cool to watch that video too. After a photo of the interior went viral online, they said it kind of feels like it closed yesterday when you look at the trash in here. Like they didn't even empty the garbage cans on the last day.
Man, that's weird.
As well as the decade-old garbage, Meyer spied a branded bag containing some French fries, which looked suspiciously edible when he peeked inside. You remember that Super Size Me show?
Yeah, I do.
They don't rot.
They just fucking maintain. They just are there forever.
They start preserved and they stay preserved. Go ahead, Lau.
Do you think the mall manager was like, hey guys, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this. I might want a Whopper like later.
Mm-hmm.
So just wall it up and then,
I'll take care of it.
Come back and cook it. This whole thing is, I think I have dreams like this, where I punch a hole through the wall and there's usually a bunch of kittens. I got to look into what that means. I find kittens all the time in my dream. Like little kittens, like suddenly I'm responsible for all these baby kitties that are living in my house, but they're in the walls. There's something weird. I got to look that up. But so as it says, it apparently closed closer to 15 years ago, but it was built in 1987. So that's why it's so vintage. It hadn't really been updated in any major way since then. So it looks straight out of the 80s. And I have so many questions. Like, why would the mall just, first of all, why would they write off that much usable space? It's a full restaurant. It's 5,000 square feet of restaurant. It's not like some weird little mini mall version. It's a full Burger King. And even if they don't want to utilize the space, why wouldn't they gut it? Like, you send that shit, this is a major chain. Send that shit back for credit or sell it. I see shit like that coming up for auction or at yard sales all the time. People buy that stuff. All those benches could go into the Mexican restaurant down the road. That shit happens all the time. I don't know. This whole story is just so fucking bizarre. And it really makes you wonder, what the fuck else is hidden behind walls around you in your own hometown, right?
Yeah. Makes me wonder how they kept those floors so clean.
Doesn't it seem like there should be cobwebs?
Yeah.
And signs of rat shit everywhere.
I read somewhere that they were actually using that as a sort of like a maintenance walkway sort of thing. Like they would like go through it. Like they knew it was like it wasn't like they didn't know it was there.
It wasn't a secret.
But like they would use it to like trundle their little like things full of water to mop the floor. That's what I read, is that like maybe the janitorial staff used it to get from point A to point B, kind of behind the scenes sort of deal. You know what I mean?
You cut through the old Burger King. Well, you know what's funny about that is I recently posted. I found I've been doing all these little miniature signs, and I've been looking for some reference photos for some older signs in Wenatchee, and I came up with these. In that search, I found a couple of old shots of the Wenatchee Mall, which doesn't even exist anymore. It's a strip mall now, but there was an actual indoor mall over there at one point. And it was a trip to see a photo of it, basically looking like I remember it from when I was like 8 years old. And somebody told me, I posted it online and it got, I don't know, like 100 comments on it. It really, fired up a lot of nostalgia. And then people were telling stories like, oh, I used to work there and blah, 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 blah. And I guess a lot of those people said that they straight up walled over some of those old shops to make like, I remember them leveling this thing and then rebuilding the strip mall from the ground up. But I guess it makes sense that they didn't, because JCPenney and Rite Aid were still bookending this spot. So everything else would have just been built up. But they said that there were little tunnels and all sorts of hidden walkways behind the walls where you could go around the businesses. And some of them said that they didn't take all those spaces out, but they utilized them for like storage. And some of them, I guess, look exactly the same. So there's probably a lot of this out there where there's like, yeah, fuck it. But you got to imagine people wouldn't, if people knew about it, they would be going in there and hanging out. Be a great place for an after-hours cocktail party, an old burger game.
Yeah, into it.
Who says they didn't?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Well, I don't know. Captured my image, and apparently it captured everyone's image, because that story went viral. Real quick, this is another fast food related story, but this is more of the embarrassing boner variety, and an embarrassing boner that you'd hate to be responsible for, especially in these challenging and heated times. This is straight off the Post. A Dunkin' Donuts located in Cranston, Rhode Island, wanted to celebrate its 30th anniversary this past week by offering free coffee for a year to the first 100 guests on that day. However, a Facebook post announcing the event suggested it was limited to white Cranston, Rhode Island residents.
No.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts spokesperson Kelsey Chester told the station that the seemingly racist offer was an unfortunate and embarrassing mistake. She goes on to say that the Facebook post for the Cranston store was copied from a post announcing a similar coffee giveaway in White Plains, New York. Now, I buy this 100% because I don't know about y'all, or if you guys are doing much text work. All I do these days is write. I'm constantly copying things from one issue to the next and then modifying them. So I will copy part of a headline and then modify it with the date. And it's really easy to leave something out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So, and it seems like most people are believing this, but only after, as you can imagine, quite a bit of heated feedback. But she said that they pasted in the white part, but Plains, New York got pasted over with Cranston, Rhode Island. So, yeah.
Whoops.
In any case, dozens of people lined up at the Cranston location hoping to get their year of free coffee. It does seem like people have forgiven them and they buy the explanation, but got to be careful out there. For free 100 coffees for the first white residents of this town. It'll get you into some snafu scenarios. Well, that's all I got. That's all I got for news. Snafu scenarios. But I got tons of feedback. But I'll let you guys gab for a bit here if you got anything you want to bring to the table. Or I can go right in.
Apparently, Elon Musk is going to reveal a new human AI robot coming this summer. September. Sorry, I got all excited.
We just can't end ourselves quick enough.
Yeah, it's just it's a typical human kind of like format. It's got a head, it's got a body, But like, I wonder how useful it's going to be. And are we in a situation where we're like it's the 80s? What do you call it? Vacuum that used to always charge itself over or
Roomba?
Yeah, Zumba.
Roomba?
Roomba?
Yeah, Roomba. Is that what you're talking about?
Talked about the robot that he's going to reveal in September. It's supposed to have like human AI. So.
Well, the Roomba doesn't have. Well, does the Roomba? I guess. AI is
no. Roomba doesn't have no AI.
AI is very specific. It's not just something that's intelligent and even learnable. There are types of learnable and programmable robots, but AI. Do we actually have AI that we can all get behind on considering is real, like full on AI?
Did you hear about this Google tech that quit Google because he got?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to talk about.
Yeah, well, maybe you know better than me, but go ahead. Have
you listened to or read any of these interviews at all?
No, I heard the headline. I was like, holy shit.
I just listened to him on the Duncan Trussell podcast, and it's really compelling. I really don't know what to think about it. He
give him the gist of,
okay, so there was a guy doing a project for Google, and basically what he was supposed to be doing was just sort of like testing out some systems that they were using these AI chatbots to. It was a whole complicated thing. It's not just chatbots. There was other thing that they were doing with some AI with these chatbots, and he was doing some testing on one of them just to see how it responded to stuff. And the way that it was responding to him made him think that it actually was sentient and not just a really good chatbot that was regurgitating the stuff that a chatbot is supposed to do. Just asking him really weird questions regarding, like, basically what a soul is and what, I mean, just really existential shit that, like, I highly recommend listening to this podcast, because it's just like, well, what the fuck? Because if this guy is right and this thing is awake, then shit's coming down the pike faster than we can be prepared for, really, but yeah, I don't know. It's
I mean,
really
Google sued him, right? Is that
no, they
so he
suspended
quit?
him. No, they suspended him due to this is under review. He's not he's not been fired.
Oh, I thought he
but he's not supposed to be talking.
Yeah, I thought I thought there was an NDA involved or something.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that exactly, but the one thing that he did say on the podcast I listened to is that he never saw any of the code for this chatbot, right? So he has never seen or read any of the code for it, so he can't divulge any secrets or whatever.
Secrets, sure.
Exactly, right. Mm-hmm. So he's not technically doing anything that's I guess against his NDA or something. I don't know. It's all a really complicated thing, but he's very open with what he experienced, and
interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Is Duncan still involved with Joe Rogan on a regular basis?
I wouldn't say he's involved with him necessarily, but he's a guest on his podcast every now and then.
I always wondered.
And honestly, those are the only ones I really listen to.
I was going to say they're probably the best ones too.
Yeah.
It seems like the further Rogan has gone toward one direction.
Yeah.
I've been curious about how some of those other guests that were once huge staples of his show are responding. There's a guy named Hans Kim who's a stand-up comedian, and Joe Rogan's been taking him out on tour, and they just did a massive stadium show. I think there was 15,000 people for stand-up comedy. That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
But he played Radar Station.
What?
Yeah,
wow, that's cool.
He was up and coming. My buddy Alex, who books comedy shows, we had some amazing comics at Radar Station. It was really a cool, kooky spot to do comedy. But yeah, Hans Kim was one of them, and he was funny. But the other two guys that were there with him that night, I thought were funnier and had their shit more together. But then I started seeing Hans pop up on the what's the Red Band, or what's the guy's name? Well, maybe it is Red Band. The Kill Tony show in Austin, Texas. And I saw one episode where Hans was up on stage doing a stand-up comedy, and there's always three celebrity judges or guest judges, and then the audience. The one night that I tuned in, one of the judges was Alex Jones. And he was just sitting there drinking, watching. Oh, the guy's pretty funny. The guy's pretty funny.
He's your god. He's fucking cracked me up.
He doesn't have the document, but he's pretty funny. Pretty funny. I was like, holy shit, that's Hans Kim, right in front of Alex Jones. And then Joe Rogan was on the next one, and Joe Rogan thought he was funny, so he's been taking him. He even mentioned him on the podcast not that long ago. So it's quite a meteoric rise in that guy's career, regardless of what you think of Rogan or anybody else. It's really been kind of exciting to watch. And I can't imagine doing stand-up comedy in front of 15,000 fucking people. What a room. That's one thing to do music, but stand-up? Yeah, weird.
We saw a few years ago, Rogan and Chappelle in the Tacoma Dome.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool.
It was like 25,000 people there. I think it was the
very
most people
controversial figs these days.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I think they're both funny as fuck. I don't necessarily align with their some of their beliefs and whatnot. But
I lost interest in Rogan when he was doing the anti-vax stuff, and he wasn't full on anti-vax, but he was enough that it was bugging me.
He's just asking questions.
Yeah, and that's
for Christ's sake. God damn it! Just shut up, Joe.
It got old, and I was like, dude, you're not being fair here. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that he was going out of his way to not have on some of those other more I don't care what the politics are, just more open-minded about and more scientifically based. He was having on people that were, I felt like he was doing the Yes Joe thing, where he was having the same 5-10 people on there. He wasn't bringing people on, and he even kind of admitted that, he was getting all that flack for it, and he did like a little post. He's like I can do better. I can have more guests on that argue with me, and he used to do that. That was one of the great things about his show. I haven't been watching.
Yeah, like I said, like I will scroll through to see who his guests have been recently, because there are certain people that he'll have on like once in a blue moon now. It used to be all the time, but now it's just like, like I said, Duncan Trussell. I will always listen to those just because I want to hear Duncan Trussell, and he's fucking hilarious. I want to hear anything he has to say.
And those conversations are good, and Joe's a good conversationalist, and he did anyway.
Yeah.
Often challenge his guests, and I was fine with that, even if I didn't agree with the way he was challenging them. But that's how you get a good conversation with somebody who hopefully knows what they're talking about, or at least has a very strong opinion about one thing. Then next week or the next show, you have somebody else on that is not necessarily in that same vein. It was getting pretty fucking like, one note.
Yeah, all the people that that he's had on since between the episode with Mike Judge from Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill and Idiocracy and all that stuff. So I had to listen to that one, obviously. Everything since Mike Judge up until this one with Duncan Trussell has been like somebody who I've been like, bullshit. That's some bullshit. Nope, don't want to hear that.
Men are doing impossible things, Joe.
Don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? It's just like, God.
Yeah, you do. After a while, you're like, I get really wincy about the whole shut him down and, take away his microphone. I don't like that kind of thought, but at the same time, you do start to feel like, stop giving these dickheads this fucking platform. Like, stop broadcasting horseshit. You do want to see that. You want to see less horseshit being broadcast. It is one thing, because for a while, I think that was true of Joe. He was like, hey, I'm just asking questions. What was the other thing he would always say? Hey, I don't know. I'm just a dummy.
Yeah.
And I bought it.
Don't listen to me. I'm stupid.
And I went along with that for a while because I did think that his overall discussions were, I couldn't have pinholed Joe's politics. Definitely conservative here and definitely liberal there. And he probably still is to a large degree, but I couldn't get behind his irresponsible, what I felt was irresponsible handling of COVID-related stuff, and that's when it started blowing up for him, in a bad way.
Yeah, well, I stopped listening to Adam Carolla for kind of the same reasons.
Exactly, I did too.
And
although he was more, he was at least in favor of the vaccine, not the mandates, but
yeah, I mean, he's always been sort of like edging over to the conservative side, but I wouldn't say he's like a right winger or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a lot of views that I disagree with. But they just kind of like seem to get like progressively more and more and more in the forefront of what he was talking about all the time, and I was just like not interested, because like, okay, well, I get it. I get that you're gonna rant about this and you hate this and you hate that, and like I don't see you doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And it just seems like him and Joe, like once you get to a certain level of fucking rich guyness in this country, it seems like it fucking turns your brain to mush. It turns your brain to fucking mush, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's that line? Where's the line where you turn into a fucking idiot? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There seems to be one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know.
Alex Jones was the biggest example of this to me back in the day, because you can go back to the earlier days of Tales from the Space Pod. I would bring up Alex Jones all the time because I listened all the time. Yeah, he was a kook, and yeah, he went too far here and there, but he was not this alt-right bananas head case that he became, and I still don't think that he truly is. And I thought this before. I met a lot of people that actually they don't know him, but they've encountered him. They see him out and about, and they say all the time that he'll just throw out shit like, yeah, listen, it's show business, and like, look, I believe so-and-so, but it's just, you got to lean into it. And I believe that. I
guarantee you at least half the shit that Peterson says is just to fucking get views and clicks and likes and donations. You know what I mean? And he knows what he's fucking doing.
Impossible.
He knows what he's doing, and he knows who he's catering to, and he knows they're going to fucking give him money. So it's
not okay.
It isn't. It's fucking gross.
No, remember when we talked about him, we did the initial impossible things. And then I got a little bit of flack, and I was like, well, look, I don't know much about this guy, but I thought in the interest of fairness, that next week or the next episode, I found, and this thing just popped up, where he was kind of going after the idea of incels and not, because I was saying, oh, this guy's the king of the fucking incels. And we saw something, I don't even remember what it said, but it was a logical statement. I thought, well, if he really believes this, then maybe there's some hope that he's not a total turd brain. Well, I've since heard several things that, no, he's a turd brain, including recently there was a story, maybe you guys saw this, but there's a story of the Sports Illustrated bikini or swimsuit edition. I don't know if this was the first plus size model, but they had a plus size model. If you ask me, looking at her, she was barely plus size, but definitely plus size in terms of like
Sports Illustrated cover models,
couture modeling, yes, or that kind of supermodeling world for sure. And he, unprovoked, that whole meme like nobody, and then so and so says something. No one was provoking him. Out of the fucking blue, he posts that picture of that cover. And he said something like, nope, sorry, not attractive, never was, never will be. It's like, dude, why? Why would you even post something like that? Why would you even bring it up? Unprovoked, if you weren't specifically catering to a very specific type of dude that just loves talking shit about women, that loves telling women what to do, that loves feeling empowered over women. You are the king of fucking incels, and I regret giving him I didn't give him a second chance, but I regret trying to be fair concerning Jordan Peterson. He's a fuck up. He's a fuck up for sure, and he's doing massive damage. And I believe John Mark is correct, just like I believe I'm correct about Alex Jones. I believe that a lot of these people are in a showbiz scenario, and they are leaning into this character. And I also think there is this organic thing where once they go so far, they push out a certain group, and then they lean into what they've become. They lean into the people that embrace them.
They might start to believe it too.
Yeah, or at least they cash that all the way to the fucking bank, as Peterson and as well as all these guys have. But very, very damaging. And, this all plays a part in bullshit like what happened on January 6th. There's a direct correlation between some of this, and they're riling up these people. I would put Tucker Carlson in that same group. They're riling up this very specific group of alt-right incels. This has nothing to do with conservative values, by the way. This is a pocket of people at one point that is now growing into this fury because these mainstream huge personalities are they have
feeding them a rasher of shit.
They have cracked the code. And I do believe that it's financially driven, but they have cracked the code in the same way that Doritos has cracked the code into making you go back for more and more Doritos. They have figured out what triggers your brain in a very specific way, and they are utilizing that to get richer and richer and to get bigger and bigger and more famous and find this bigger following. And they don't seem to give two shits about the fact that they are going to have to live in the same bullshit world that they are helping to create. They can't get past the money and the power.
Though, because they don't live in that world right now. They're very much not.
Maybe they won't. They're all white men, so maybe they never will. Maybe they feel like no matter what happens, we'll never have to be.
After the fall, that'll be the big level the playing field event. So
after the fall, I'm ready for some falls, man.
I got some falls for you.
Give me some falls, Lau.
falling out of the sky like a madman.
Oh, shit.
So in 2020, there was a pilot that reported witnesses appearing seeing a flying portable jetpack man flying over LAX.
Portable.
And this is like 2 years ago.
I saw Portable Jetpack Man open for
Atari Teenage Riot,
the Galaxy Trio, and Atari Teenage Riot. Yeah, that's good. Go ahead.
He was observed several times. I guess around to the altitude around 3,000 feet, which is pretty. Being in a jetpack, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is. Was this the same one that people were seeing? Like they saw it out their window, when they're in a plane.
I had no idea, but like to me, I'm thinking B.B. Cooper, maybe. A little.
You think he's still out there?
Like he could be out there
80?
Getting money.
How old would he be?
Portable jetpack.
Portable jetpack man.
That's what he did with his freaking money, man.
That's a dollar store action figure right there. Portable jetpack man. How old would DB Cooper be today? That's an interesting question.
Like,
how old would DB Cooper be today?
Alexa.
I think he was alleged to be like 30 years old, right? And that was 50 years ago.
30-ish. Yeah.
So yeah, he'd be in his 80s.
Yeah. So anyway,
agent man,
I fly through the sky of LAX. So that was 2 years ago. Apparently, recently, guess who came back? Guess who's back?
Flying portable jetpack man.
Flying portable jetpack.
He was back. He was reported to be
returning flying portable jetpack man.
He was reported to be 4,500 feet this time, a little bit higher. Over the gate station, about 6 miles in presence, I guess, of east of where the position was the last one. But that's it. That nobody knows who he is. You know, he's secret. He might be fucking Iron Man.
Might be homegrown.
We don't know.
Superhero or supervillain. Who would you root for more right now? A superhero or supervillain? I guess ultimately a supervillain has some sort of agenda.
I wanted DB Cooper to get away with the crime that he did and move far away into a weird island where he met a hot chick, and then they end up having a kid, and his son is the one that designed this backpack, and he's planning heists.
Oh, DBJR. DBJR is portable flying jetpack man.
Say that 10 times fast.
Interesting.
Okay.
Flying portable jetpack man.
Okay, here we go. Jetpack man. Chris, have you been partaking? Because I need you to on this story. We need a bong hit or something in the background.
I think Chris might.
Do we not have any? Do we not have a sound effect for that at this point? A sound bed. That's pretty good.
It's not bad, huh? Chris? No, he muted, so he must have had to. I bet he's peeing.
I'm like, I'm totally. I'm smoking a joint, and I was like, I better mute, otherwise I'm coughing.
There he is. Okay, so this story is pretty particular. It's for all our people. This is a bakery that had threatening letters of a blasphemous sandwich.
Of a what? A blasphemous?
Blasphemous. How dare you?
I saw a blasphemous sandwich open up for Atari Teenage Riot back in the
okay. So the Bridge Bake House in Whaling Bridge. It's in Derbyshire. They have a bunch of sandwiches, and they just make up weird names for them, but they're supposed to be funny. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like don't go baking my heart.
Love it.
You know what I
love that kind of shit.
Sounds very Bob's Burgers.
So, well, this is, they made a sandwich called Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And apparently it stemmed a lot of letters to be sent home.
Derbyshire, is this in Ireland?
That was a real missed opportunity for them to call this sandwich Jesus Crust.
Jesus Christ.
You get where I'm going with this? And make the crust cheesy, you know what I'm saying? Come on.
Yeah, Jesus crust pose.
your sandwiches in your Jesus Christ. Yeah. So anyway, the owner, I'm sure he doesn't really care, but like, it was funny because it made the news over there apparently, and
you know what's great about modern times is
almost nothing.
When yeah, you're right, almost nothing. But one good thing that I see happening a lot is if there's controversy in terms of not across the board where we can all get on the wagon like, oh yeah, this was a fucked up move, but something that may be more political or more divisive, like something like this. You can get a side that'll be like, let's boycott this. And then somebody will make a post saying they're boycotting this. Let's show up in droves to support this place. And I bet that's what will happen here. Because there was this happens all the time, but I remember seeing one recently. There was like some donut shop or sandwich shop that had a pride flag out front. And somebody showed up and didn't like that, so they left this really big rant on Yelp and got this campaign to have them boycotted. And apparently it was putting a dent in their sales. So the donut shop, I can't remember if it was a donut shop, it might have been a sandwich shop, something like that. They took to Facebook saying, look, we're losing sales because of our support. Like, we want to support, this community. We're behind Pride. And, we welcome everybody here as long as there's no hate involved. And it just went viral, and there are lines around the block to support this. They were probably so overwhelmed for like weeks. And that's a thing that I see happening quite a lot. Now, this is less principle based and more, like, oh, fuck off. So who cares? Are you going to boycott every movie where someone says Jesus Christ, in vain? Isn't it funny how we as a society can tolerate a whole bunch of horse shit, but when it's something a little bit kooky, just a little bit off, even though we see other examples of it all the time, that's when we get our feathers all in a muscle. I see this with the Comet. Like, there are things that I publish in the Comet which has got the Comet banned in some local venues. They don't want to carry it anymore. Now, the things that they had an issue with are like bad words and portraits of beautifully painted oil paintings of nude people. And it's like, you realize that we live in a time where you can speak into your phone any deviant, twisted thing, and it'll just pop up and play a high definition video of that. And yes, your children know how to do that. They know how to bypass your codes. They know how to get in. They know how to find shit. But if you put something in print in a magazine, you set it on a counter somewhere, suddenly it's a different thing, because it's just not what everyone's used to in this town. They're not used to seeing a publication just sitting there that my child saw a naked man. It was an oil painting of a naked man, but that's what got me kicked out of a place up in Leavenworth. I went to drop it off, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we don't want those here, bud." Now, this is maybe like the 10th or 12th time I've been told this while out dropping off, and it was too bad because it was a good bar. It was a good pickup. A lot of people would take them there. But the last couple months was like a great pickup because there's never any left. Well, they were throwing them away and just not telling me. So they're waiting for me to drop them off. And then told me that he said, yes, some kid came up and opened
You're
it
just
up.
like, this is slaying out here. What's happening?
I was like, none left again? 3 months running? Jeez. I was like, oh, yeah, I've been meaning to tell you.
You guys know who I am. I build this thing. I make this shit.
We're cleaning our grease off the floor with them. But yeah, that's what it was. They saw some kid went and picked it up off of the bar, opened it up, and was like, Mommy, what's that? Oh, we don't want to have that talk with our kid that they're looking at fine art. It was a painting, but it was a wiener. And I wish I could send you this. It looks so much like the Thinking Man. You know, the Thinking Guy or Thinking Man, a famous sculpture. It was a very similar pose.
The stinger has to be, but it was a wiener.
And it's just so silly. It's like we are in 2022. and a oil painting of a nude male that was beautifully done. It was a beautiful painting.
It's a beautiful dick.
Beautiful dick. It was a beautiful dick. If I was going to be gay, I'd be gay with that kind of man. Nope, can't have it. Now, I'll be honest.
Too many stingers to choose from at this point.
These are going to turn into Christopher ringtones. This is what's going to happen. It's like, if I was going to be gay, I'd be gay with that kind of man. Oh, Ron's calling. But I got to be honest. It is fun to rile feathers, but you don't just want to go out and you try to rile feathers. It would be easy to just print stuff in there to see, let's see what happens here. But you want to put out a good magazine that caters to a fairly broad audience, but at the same time, it is fun to also be causing a stir. And it's surprisingly easy to do. I know this is Sleepy Little Wenatchee, but this is a fairly progressive area in a lot of ways. So it's interesting when how some people can get. I mean, how many times do you hear Jesus Christ in a song? In Taken in Vain or in any other fucking. Well, you can hear it on TV now. They don't even edit that on TV.
At the end of the story, basically, it was a church group that was harassing him and wrote to him. Let me see if I could find it. Required to the bakery's owner to remove the name, but also to apologize to the public about the issue and then donate money to the church.
Oh, go kill yourself.
Right?
Do you think so? You know what? I think that if Jesus was around to see something like that, he'd think it was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna take the Jesus Christ, or I guess the Jesus Christ.
Like what the hell?
I gotta try that.
People are so stupid. Fucking hate people sometimes.
Yeah.
I want a grilled sandwich.
One of my favorite things about Radar Station was naming the drinks. Mm-hmm. Just because you can just name them whatever you want. Yeah, sure. You can do a gin and tonic, or you can call it something else. I had a lot of fun with that, and I like it when I think more and more businesses have gotten behind the idea that you can give shit not just fun and kooky names, but a little bit edgy. But that's so tame. See, that's the thing. That's so fucking tame. How long did this happen? And is there results? Like, people have had to step forward and say, "Fuck you, church. We're gonna go support this place."
Fuck you, church.
Oh, that was the end.
Fuck church. God damn it.
I do have a guest waiting to hop on for a strange trip.
Oh shit.
Do we want to move on to our feedback sesh?
Well,
never.
Oh yeah. Let's save it because we're already at an hour and 10. By the time we take a pee break.
Yeah, I told them we're. You want me to tell them we're queuing it up, or do you have something else you guys want to gab about?
That was this last story I had.
All right, I'll tell them we'll be ready in 5.
Well, I see we got somebody on board here. I don't recognize the 2 letters.
What's great about this is the moniker on the screen does not match the person that I know. So you really have no fucking idea who this is. So I get to introduce them properly.
Big Wiener.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Big Wiener. No, this is Tyson, the one, the only, the one that paid for my goddamn theme song.
Nice.
Well, all right.
Oh, shit, I should have that ready, huh?
Totally stoked for tonight. I have been listening now for a couple of years, and I play along in the car. Passenger buys must think I'm completely crazy because I'm laughing out loud with no one in there, and it's all your fault. So yeah, I'm ready.
One of us.
Well, as long as you haven't crashed, we haven't heard from anybody that's crashed while listening to us because of listening to us in a long time, but it has happened. So do listen with caution.
Hey, and we had people listening that got laid to this too. So, by the way,
yeah, that might be the strangest of all scenarios.
I'll put a little gold star on your shoulder.
Is that what the kids are calling it now?
Apparently.
All right. Well, without further ado, are you guys ready to fucking just get right into this?
Yeah, I got the theme queued up here. Finally, almost, and here we go. In 5, 3, 4, 3. Three.
What the fuck?
It's Weird Trivia with Christopher F. Hahn.
That's me.
At Florida, poop things, swear shit in nature. Don't get me started on the goddamn brown herring. It's Weird Trivia that might get Christopher fired.
It hiccups, of course. Oh, what the fuck ever.
Totally.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're gonna do this traditional order here. Do you mind that, Ron? Do you mind going first? Would you like me to start changing that up to whoever? Again, back to.
Oh no, I don't give a shit.
Okay. Cool.
What part of our history with this game tells you that I'm super worried about my take? Perfect. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, so we'll go into traditional order here, plus guests. So Ron, John, Mark, Lyle, and then Tyson at the end there for me. All right, let's fucking do this. Question 1. Now, I think most of us have watched Stranger Things season 4. It wrapped up recently. Which Tyson?
Oh no, it's the one I missed.
Okay, I'm gonna have a small but not that important spoiler that I'm gonna talk about in this. And for anyone listening at home, again, small spoiler, not that important in my opinion, but it's just kind of a trivia about one of the scenes. So it wrapped up recently. I think it probably is the strongest season of Stranger Things I've seen. It was a fucking enthralling.
Yeah, a lot that went down.
Yeah, a lot to.
Past the first one, they're all really good. The first one was like an introduction.
That's so weird. I think the first one is the close second for me. It was such a fucking groundbreaking.
I totally agree. Yeah. I think they got a little wonky, and I didn't enjoy a lot of season 3, but loved 4.
Okay. At one point during the last couple of episodes of the season, we see Jim Hopper brandish a sword. He's fighting demons, etc. Etc.
Yeah, he's tricky.
I'm fucking hammered. Let's see if we can get through this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, words, etc.
So anyways, he's brandishing a sword. Now we know the show is ripe with Easter eggs, and this sword was no exception. In fact, this sword was a screen-used prop from something very famous. What was the sword we saw him wield? Was it A, the Atlantean sword from Conan the Barbarian?
Boy, I really gotta try to bring up my lack of photographic picture what this sword looked like. Okay.
Was it B, I'm probably gonna butcher this, Anduril, the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King sword?
I actually have that sword.
Oh.
See?
Run. I actually have that sword.
Cost him $250,000.
No, just
could have spent it on a kidney, but he chose to go with the sword. Honestly, I think he made the right call. You'll get that kidney, but you won a lifetime getting that sword.
Was it C, Ice from Game of Thrones?
Ice. Remind me what Ice was.
Ice was Ned Stark's Valyrian steel sword, the big one.
Okay.
Or was it D, the MacLeod longsword from Highlander?
MacLeod.
Okay.
Again, screen used from the actual thing it was from, not just a remake of it. What was it? You need them again, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
Fuck yeah.
Total fucking guess, but I'm picturing. I feel like I can remember the tip of the blade.
Oh yeah,
this is what's
you usually
key.
do.
It's the last thing you see
in your memory.
It's the last thing you see is the tip.
Just the tip.
They get to the hill.
And I feel like I could picture that tip being wielded with precision and effectiveness by Conan. At first, I was like, no, that wasn't a Conan sword, and I'm still not solid because I feel like this sword was more svelte than what I would picture. But I'm picturing the poster. I'm thinking of the big Frank Frazetta Conan the Barbarian poster, and that sword tip was very similar. That's my only guess, but it is a guess. I can't picture any of these swords really, other than Conan's.
Okay, John Mark.
I'm gonna go with Conan sword as well.
Okay.
Interesting choices so far. Okay. Lyle.
Sword appearance in Stranger Things. I mean, what?
Well, yeah. Okay, so Lord of the Rings, the sword you're talking about, actually has like a king crown on the tip of the hilt.
Yeah, just the tip.
I did not see that.
Okay.
And could have been hidden. Could have been.
Good.
There's a lot of fast movement, though.
I would have seen it. I would have seen it and went, "Oh, that's
my baby."
I would trust the guy that owns the sword, though.
That sword actually sits in front of the closet by the front door.
Just in case, huh?
It's a rebel. It's not
a fitting tribute.
The Witch King sword. Anyway. I'm gonna go, and this is strictly because of the way the whole show is produced. It's wrapped around the 80s. Conan sword.
Conan swords.
Oh, that's a good angle. That I should have thought about that too.
Yeah.
They're not going to put a futuristic sword into that show because nobody would know where it's
interesting. That's a good pull, Lyle. It's not a bad. I know, Lyle's. Proud of you, buddy. Yeah. All right, Tyson. You gonna go with the fan?
I was hoping Lyle would have something that made me think differently. I expected him to be a tip expert, but let's make it a family game.
The least thing that Lyle has to worry about is the tip. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna go all the way in. Yeah, and it's a good call at this point anyway. Hop on board. Even if we all lose, we all go down together.
Exactly.
I'm feeling pretty good about it though.
All right, question 2. This question comes from the one, the only, our Ben. Thanks for emailing this over to me, Ben. As always, you can.
Very fine, Ben.
You can email. I may not always respond, but I do surf through them and I do my best to pick good ones out that I know I can write bullshit about. So thank you guys who continue to send those over to me. It's trickling to a slower stream at this point, but don't forget email Christopher.Bizarre,
which is funny because our downloads are way up, but that's never correlated with our feedback.
Mm-hmm. Word. Okay. So per usual, this story is going to be worth 2 big ones. Am I right, Lyle?
Oh, give us a little, Lyle. 2 big 1.
2 big ones.
I knew whatever it focused on, it wouldn't be 2. Just couldn't. Just couldn't do it.
There are times when I bring a goddamn news story and I'm having this real issue of, fuck, did we talk about this like 3 weeks ago? I don't know.
Oh, I did that tonight with one of my stories. It's like, did we talk about that? I feel like
there needs to be a verb or something, like a good name for that for us. Something that's relevant to our podcast. That's funny because it happens all the fucking time, and this is one of those moments. So
it's probably a German word that describes that, but I don't know what it is.
You shushied.
Schlubbing.
It's like deja vu, yeah.
What? It's like etc.
It's like Schadenfreude.
Yeah, that's the problem right now. Somebody corrected me at saying that the other night, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Sarah just did that like a year ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I have been saying etc. my entire life. It's et. It ends with a C. It's et. But that's so hard for me to say. Etc.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
So I'm going to continue to say etc. I'm sorry.
Perfect. Excedrin.
Taking Excedrin after this conversation. I'm cross-eyed.
Okay. 2 points on the line here. And again, I apologize if we've covered this one, but what the fuck? Okay. Last year, a woman in Missouri won a $5.2 million settlement with Geico Auto Insurance.
Hey.
She filed a claim while she was a passenger in a car with somebody that was insured when this happened. So what happened that she ended up having to basically file a claim with Geico, and she ended up winning $5.2 million? Was it A, the man driving the car flicked his cigarette and ash got into her eye, causing partial blindness?
Ouch. A lot of us have done that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Was it B, the driver of the car was driving too fast and it gave her a rare but serious ailment called permanent motion sickness disease?
That sounds awful.
People get that. Yeah.
Is it C, the passenger window mechanism malfunctioned, catching the woman's hair while it rolled down, causing her to nearly be scalped?
Ooh, the modern Pia Zadora.
I've always feared that for some reason.
Or was it D?
No, it's not Pia Zadora. Isadora Duncan.
Or is it D? The woman had sex with the man in the back of the car and caught an STD he didn't disclose that he'd had.
Oh, I'd like to think that that's covered. Oh,
is that into my liability? Okay. Do you guys need them again?
Yeah, let's do those. Just the answers.
Okay. Cigarette ash.
Okay.
Permanent motion sickness disease. Almost scalped by the window. Or STD.
Well, I definitely want to chase the herp herring, but the thought, I said P. Isadora, but it was Isadora Duncan, the famous story. She was an actress, ballet dancer, I think, back in the 40s, maybe. And she had been gifted this long flowing scarf, and she was out on a beautiful sunny summer afternoon with her lover, and her scarf was flowing in the wind. They were riding around in a convertible, highway speeds, if I remember, although it wouldn't matter. And that long flowing scarf got caught in one of the wheels.
Oh, God.
And it wound up, and it was, of course, wrapped around her neck, and it broke her neck and killed her instantly.
There's certain things you don't ride. You don't, because I ride a motorbike, or used to anyway. There's some things you don't wear when you're riding a motorbike because of that.
Yeah. The only reason I'm going with C is because there's a real world. Now, obviously, this is a different technology and a different outcome, but similar. I'm going to go with C.
Okay.
I'm damn near scalped.
I'm going to go with C.
And by the way, I do this thing. It's a bad habit, and I don't recommend it. I do this thing where I'll keep if I'm riding shotgun, I tend to keep the window down and like a little fresh air. And I tend to keep my hand like out. You ever, when the window's down, you keep your hand like rested, your elbows rested on the door top or and then you keep your hand sort of on the top of the car. I have had people who, they just automatically, when they pull into a driveway, their destination, they just automatically roll all the windows up.
Oh, no.
I've had my fingers crushed so many times by people who didn't do a quick knuckle check before rolling up them windows. So that also bodes well. I mean, I may have missed out on a $5 million paycheck.
Perhaps.
That would have covered my IRS bill.
Yeah, you'd be all right here. Wouldn't be getting no freeze on your bank account.
And I could afford 5,000 pay-per-view channels.
Okay, Ron's going with scalped.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
John Mark.
I think I'm going to go with D.
The STD.
Ooh. That's right.
Yeah, that'd be
See, Chris, you missed a generation of really shitty brown weed, I think.
Yeah.
We used to have to smoke that, and we'd get like a seed or something and a pop.
Yeah.
I was driving, so it's just real, man.
Now you're talking my weed language. I stopped smoking pot before weed got good. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the scalpation.
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 That's a great new word.
Dermatology.
That's a good one.
Good scalpation.
I'm thinking of fresh air. Fuck.
My scalp seems like it's gonna fall off.
That's great. Man, remember the times you used to have time to put like little songs together on request? And we're like, fucking make that as a song after this.
That's all me and Ron used to do as kids.
Yeah.
The little 4-track
Mm-hmm.
or a boombox.
Okay, Tyson.
Yeah, I think I have to go with the scalp for a few reasons. I'm looking at insurances and I'm thinking that it has to be something tied to the car. which makes sense. And I also can relate with Ron's story. I actually know a guy in Nebraska that was hanging his hand out the window and another vehicle got too close and he's minus a hand. So, yeah, scalp it is.
Oof. I think about that shit all the time because I always got my arm dangling out the window. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your song there, Chris.
Okay, no, I was having a good time either way.
I'm thinking about dangling my... Oops!
Is this thing on?
I'm gonna turn around and back to the hospital way. Good Lord. Isn't it amazing how quickly your day can change? It's just like... be it a flowing scarf, flowing hair, or a hand dangling out the window on a warm summer's eve. You know, fragile creatures.
Okay, guys. Question 3 is a real feel-good one for...
Etc.
Ron, wake up. Make me sound good.
What I need to do is go back 100 episodes and just... get every moment that Chris fucked up and said, Ron! Because they're all in the episodes.
It'd be so great if we could just run this shit through a scan and have searchable fucking document.
Ron. Edit that out. Ron. Make me sound good. Ron. I'm thinking I won't go editing. Leave it all in.
Okay, hold on. I gotta give a shit.
It would be great if there was some sort of searchable thing.
I mean, I know we fucking fascinating.
450 some episodes.
18 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? Bigfoot rape with dolphin rape.
Yeah, right. 678 episodes.
Yeah.
God damn
it. Mentioned 42 times in over
3 episodes.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, here's a real feel-good question for you guys. That was a nice smooth transition because Ron edited that and made me sound good.
Bigfoot rape and dolphin sex. Now searching 1,500. Yeah, okay.
In 2021, heart disease was the #1 cause of death. Cancer was the #2 cause of death. What was the 3rd largest cause of overall death in the United States in 2021?
This is
was it A? Yeah, COVID.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Was it B? Obesity. Was it C? Misadventure.
I've always aimed for that being on my death certificate. Misadventure.
Or was it D? Gun violence.
Did you see what was C again?
Misadventure.
Misadventure. I think that's what's on. Isn't that what's on Bon Scott's? Well, it's on obviously a lot of people's death certificate, but death by misadventure. It just sounds so
it's like fucking off.
Funny. Yeah, they're just fucking around. Not doing wise things. Well, God, gun violence. I mean, every fucking 6 hours now we get news of a mass shooting. And although 2021, you know what was interesting, and this blows my mind, that during the COVID shutdown, we saw such a massive decrease in shootings, mass shootings. But that doesn't mean we saw a decrease in shootings, like, domestic violence or smaller shootings.
Yeah, if you actually educate yourself, there's really not that many in total for, like, it's nothing. It's like less than 10%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the percentage of people who are shot. It's got to be overwhelmingly just like a guy shot another guy, or shot his wife.
The news kind of takes a hold of it, and like every single case is put through the news. So it's like, really, there's only that many,
They're not really. There's a lot that don't talk about for whatever reason, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to choose to hang on to one part of your point, which is I do think that there have to be way more people killed in like non-mass shooting scenarios by guns, so that it didn't necessarily go down during COVID. It's an interesting thought. I'm going to go with guns.
Going with guns. Okay. John Mark.
COVID is an interesting answer because we were avoiding people, and that's...
So we had what? COVID, misadventure, guns, and what else?
Obese.
The The obese. You down with obese, Bees?
Yeah, you know me.
I'm gonna say COVID.
Okay, I'll put you down for
Number
COVID.
3.
But it's probably B.
Bullet.
Whatever.
Well, God, obesity. It's kind of such a vague, thing because obviously we've been
So many
at
things
COVID for
that
30 years,
Mm-hmm.
but fucking people eat, especially when they've got a job to go to. They just sit around and eat all the shit.
God knows I put on a lot of COVID weight.
But that is obesity. That's not like heart failure or anything else. Strokes, things.
Well,
that
you got to think that in this example, I'm guessing obesity related anything. So heart disease would be in there, diabetes would be in there, stroke would be in there, certain kinds of cancers definitely. Obesity is a comorbidity that we can't ignore.
I'm gonna go with COVID, I guess.
Oh. All right. Tyson.
I think I'm going to follow Ron's logic around the obesity. I mean, if you think about heart and cancer and that comorbidity thing.
Diabetes.
Diabetes, yeah. I think I got to go there even though I'm off on my own. But yeah obesity.
Didn't even choose it.
Put you down for obesity here. All right, question 4. We're going to wrap this shit up with maybe one of my favorite types of trivia. Motherfucking Game of Thrones trivia. Motherfuckers. Oh, all right. I read this and was tickled. Fucking tickled about this. Okay. The infamous fight between the Red Viper and the Mountain was a difficult scene to shoot, primarily because the location they were shooting at had like a big bay behind them that a bunch of rich yacht owners would just soak up, and they couldn't have those boats in the shots, obviously. So producers of the show made deals with all of the yacht owners, asking them to distance their vessels a mile offshore. All agreed, but one motherfucking person, who instead flagrantly piloted their yacht back and forth over and over again, trying to ruin as many fucking shots as they could while they filmed this massive fight sequence. Who was this person? It was a famous person trying to sabotage Game of Thrones filming. Was it A, Tom Cruise?
Okay.
B, Bruce Willis?
Yeah, got it.
C, Chevy Chase?
No.
I'm on my lampoon vacation.
No. Back and forth.
I can ruin it.
No.
Or D, Eddie Money?
I can't in good conscience, but I know that
moving
forward, you are going to find Eddie Money stories from here.
You don't know.
Here and there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know about this close back to back.
We'll see.
Goddamn.
We'll fucking see, man.
R.I.P. If he was alive, I would send him a collection. How many times he's come up on this program? Okay, so we've got
Tom Cruise, Bruce Willis, Chevy Chase, Eddie Money. Take me home tonight.
What year did Eddie Money die? I guess it was after Game of Thrones. Boy, he does seem like the kind of guy that has a yacht. It's kind of considered yacht rock. I'm gonna go with. My Chevy seems a little too on the nose. I'm gonna go with Bruce Willis.
All right, Brucey.
Yeah, he seems like a bit of a jokester.
Okay. I like it. John Mark.
Chevy does seem too on the nose, but I'm going to pick him anyway.
Fascinating.
No.
So, no. If, okay, so Tom Cruise, I could see him doing that if he had like some kind of hang up with the production. Like, you're not Scientologist, so I'm going to
somebody about badmouth Scientology.
Yeah. You motherfuckers.
It's not in good
your shot
spirit.
every time.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Willis doesn't seem to me like being that much of an asshole. I think if you even just talk to Bruce Willis, say, Bruce.
Oh my God. He's notoriously an asshole, Lau.
Oh no.
And prankstery. I mean, this could be a prankstery thing, but
in his older age, I don't
looking at
think
the wrong way.
pretty mellow dude. That leaves. What was
Eddie Money. Eddie Money, baby.
No. We're not going Eddie.
Oh, you all are gonna be fucking.
I've got
like
one vessel
what?
to wreck your shop.
Who's the third one?
Chevy Chase, Bruce
That's
Willis.
Chevy Chase, baby. I can see
Chevy.
him doing it all day long. Just all right. No, I can tear up the check and say nope. Just doing his
Fucking
thing.
Wizards program is dumb.
Did you do John Mark? What did you go with, John Mark?
Chevy.
Okay, perfect. All right, Tyson, where do you want to go?
Ooh, I wonder if Chevy still has yacht money. And I don't think Eddie was around for a yacht. Tom, I don't know, man. I think he spends his time flying, not boating. So I think I'm going to have to go Bruce.
Going with Brucey.
Yeah, he's not part of the, what is it, the Sea crew?
Sea Org?
Sea Org.
Sea Org?
Yeah, of Scientology.
Yeah. It's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go over the answers here and see how you guys did. Kind of a close race. I can't tell who won. I have to add it up here. Okay. Stranger Things Season 4. At one point, we see Hopper rock a giant sword as he fights a beast. And that sword was indeed the Conan the Barbarian sword. Like the actual
It's the
sword
actual
from
prop.
Conan. Yeah, it's one of a
so
screen-used sword from when Arnold wielded it. So pretty cool. Love that they're doing that.
I'd love to see behind-the-scenes footage of that on set when everyone's just like looking at it like little kids. Like,
What would it be?
Hopper, first time he picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in general, because
I
we
get
all
to
live.
kill a beast with this thing. Sorry, Lau.
Imagine being on the set and designing all that shit, being from the 80s. And
God,
there.
That's always been one of my dream jobs.
Fucking A.
Prop and set design for movies.
Yeah, you'd be great at that.
I do that anyway.
You all, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and when you have the many hats you're wearing, you all got that correct for a point, a pop right off the bat here.
Okay.
All tied at 1. Question 2 was, Lau, get ready. Question 2 was not worth just 1, but it was worth 2 points. Thanks again, Ben. 2-point question, Lau.
2 points.
Perfect. Love it.
Ooh, nice dry finish.
Last year, a woman in Missouri won a $5.2 million settlement with Geico Auto Insurance. She filed a claim that she was basically having sex with this guy in his car, and she received an STD, undisclosed, that he knew about. And she was able to file that claim with his auto insurance and get $5.2 million.
Well, like Tyson said, what the fuck does that have to do with the car?
It's
Can you sue the mattress company if you get it in bed?
I need to go back and read
some weird loophole, but it was something to do with her insurance too, and it was like it was a whole thing. Yeah.
Well, then, and I guess the insurance company didn't respond to the claim in a proper way, and she was able to file like a counterclaim or something that because they didn't respond to in the proper channel. I don't know, something to that effect. But
it was a
crazy
Chevy.
Well, I have Geico, so that's probably why my rates went up.
Yeah, no shit.
Thanks, bitch. Although I'm also in support of it because fuck insurance companies. They're the worst people on planet Earth.
Friendly reminder to the kids out there: STDs aren't like Pokemon cards. You don't want to collect them all.
I have been so fortunate. Knock on one particular wood.
John Mark got that correct for 2 points, putting him in the lead here. But
see where this is going.
So, question 3. Where's
Eddie,
question 3? Okay.
Don't let me down.
In 2021, heart disease was the number 1 cause of death. Cancer was the number 2 cause of death. And the number 3, the third largest cause of death was indeed COVID.
Very interesting. Jesus Christ. That's
interesting.
Well, while we were moving on, I wanted to look this up in terms of gun violence versus, say, cancer.
Yeah. I'm sure it's much smaller, but...
Oh, it certainly is, and it's worth mentioning. I mean, not trying to make any kind of point, but gun violence, it looks like around that time, year to year, it goes from, this is just the U.S., 30 to 40,000 people a year.
Oh, my God.
By guns.
Wow.
Cancer is between 600,000 and 700,000. So they really aren't close at all. Not that I thought they were, but I thought in the interest of science, there you go. Now that's alarming. Like none of that makes me feel better. Colon cancer, though, we talk all the time about breast cancer, Lung cancer gets a lot of coverage. Colon cancer kills more people than any of that combined.
Because you don't
prostate's up there too. Yeah, I'm 46, 47 this year. I'm 2 years shy of starting to get my annual or
no, they bumped that shit to
every couple.
They bumped it to 45. I think, man, you're behind.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I'm 2 years. I said shy. 2 years past.
Yeah,
going to be or. They basically send you stuff in the mail now, and they just take stool samples.
You can do
it that way. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's as reliable as going in and getting your colonoscopy.
No, you got to clean that shit out.
Man, I've had one. I had one at 24.
Yeah,
and it was a fucking fascinating experience.
Remember the ladybug that was in the...
No, I've always had tummy problems, and so my doctor was like, we should probably just go up there and fucking check it out. I'm like, cool. Yeah. But I mean, like the worst part about it is you have the day before, like the prep, because you have to not eat and then drink this awful shit that just makes you like empty every part of your bowels. Like you just like
you can't have anything in there. Remember we did that story with the ladybug colonoscopy found a living ladybug on some dude's colon wall. Way up in there, just clean as a whistle. There wasn't nary a brown stain, just this beautiful red ladybug on a fleshy inner tube. Yeah.
John, Mark, and Lyle got that correct, giving them a point apiece, which makes John Mark kind of uncatchable. But let's see how this last question pans out, at least with our fucking Lyle. Give me a Game of Thrones trivia.
Game of Thrones.
There's a couple things happening at once there.
That's cold too.
Banging.
John Mark, uncatchable, unlike herpes in the back seat. $5 million. Okay, here's a question. Here's a question, gang. Real talk. Would you take herpes for $5 million?
I think I might.
Although they didn't I'm the one that brought herpes into the equation. I don't think the story specified. It was an STD, right?
I think it was HPV.
Oh, we'll see. HPV can lead to cancer, especially in women. Yeah, it can be serious. But I want you to answer my question. If you could straight up take the herp for a $5 million check, I think I would absolutely have to. I would just sign up for one of those dating apps that's all herpes all the time.
Hey. You could be the spokesperson. You could be on the billboard.
I'm herpes Ron.
I'm not only the president.
I'm the king. Throw my money in the air.
For $5 million, I'm pretty sure you could probably get it removed for like $1 million.
You can't get it removed.
There's no. I bet you there. You look at that basketball player that had AIDS on.
You can't get AIDS removed either.
No, come on, I'm telling you. There's Magic Johnson.
You can treat it and you can keep yourself alive. Yes, we have treatments for AIDS. And we have treatments for, we have antiviral things for herpes, but you can't cure it. But, yeah, maybe you can cure it by rubbing a bunch of money on it. I don't know. We'll find out when I'm herpes Ron, the king of the king and the client.
I don't really remember.
The world's stupidest musical, The King and the Client. Oh. Herpes Ron.
Well, I know what my next commission painting's going to be.
Just me rubbing money on my broke out dick.
Like looking down in your pants and just got this bad fucking look.
Guys, it's not that big of a deal. Breakouts get less and less. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to buy somebody to come flip you off at your home every day for the rest of your life. Because I can. Because I'm the king. I didn't give you guys a chance to answer.
Spit my white claw out. Jesus Christ, herpes Ron.
Would you take the herp? Would you become herpes Chris for $5 million?
That.
Huh?
I'll have to think about that one. It's a tough call.
Huh.
For how much money?
Here's the thing. So many people have herpes that if you had it, it would just be a different category of people that you could. And listen, you can safely have
Pam Anderson.
herpes sex with a lot of people. Yeah, well, I know somebody who has it, and she was married for 10 years and, had lots of sex with her husband. He never got it because she took the antiviral meds and they use protection. So it's not like you can't be with anybody that's non-herped, but, and I think, God, I may be wrong, but I feel like you still have to be somewhat careful if you're with, because certain viruses definitely you can reinfect or like amplify the viral load. I don't know if that's true with herpes. It seems like it would be. Anyway, Lyle, would you become Lyle? Would you become herpes Lyle for a $5 million check?
I would like to learn how to amplify my load.
I love how hard this is for you guys to answer.
No, seriously.
I answered immediately.
I'll take 2.
You'll take 2 herbs?
Not 1, but 2.
Give me twice the viral load.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
$5 million is a lot of money, dude. I can have a lot of fun with $5 million.
That's the end of your worries in terms of money. John Mark, would you become herpes?
I'd probably do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You could talk Jen into. Look,
it's
you're like,
name,
look, baby,
it's the moniker.
You're the only one. Well, we haven't got the Tyson yet, but we will. You could talk Jen into, look, this is risky, but.
However,
it's for our future.
I got $2.5 million with your name on it. If you still want to suck my
finish
cock.
Our house.
Oh yeah, finish the house, whatever. All right, Tyson. What about you?
Oh,
would you become? Let me ask.
There is no.
No.
Let me ask it right.
Ask.
Would you become herpes Tyson?
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you
the
king
have and the client.
If you have to only hook up with, if Pam Anderson's an option, I mean, maybe, yeah,
Sure.
Okay. Well, this is the only thing standing in your way.
There you go. Then I sign me up.
All right. Well, there you have it. Yeah, I think most of us would take
all right.
herpes for $5 million. Mm-hmm. Fair trade. Right. Okay, that was a hijack. Sorry.
It's the weirdest game of Jeopardy ever.
Yeah, we needed answers here, and we got them.
Question 4. Infamous fight between the Red Viper and the Mountain in the Game of Thrones series was a difficult scene to shoot, primarily because Bruce fucking Willis was cruising back and forth in his yacht.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Basically flipping the double bird to anyone he could.
What was
what was
Ron
the
and
reason?
Tyson. He didn't really give one. There was never
because he
just
could.
refused to comply. Yeah, he
didn't watch that show.
Yeah, Ron and Tyson got that. He wasn't cast. He didn't make his role of Ned Stark. Ron and Tyson got that correct. Congratulations, guys. You couldn't catch the king.
The king and the client. Herpes free, John. Lyle, give us a little herpes free, John Mark.
Herpes free, John Mark.
Oh, there we go. I like that.
It's still going.
It's just like herpes. It just keeps on going. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I know that herpes is so common that at least half our audience has it, whether they know it or not. But
hey, 1 out of 4. Take a look around.
We still love you.
1 out of 4.
Well, yeah. Suddenly we're all looking around like the end of fucking Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh no.
It's true. Well, and that's the thing about herpes and a lot of these viruses. A lot of them are dormant, and you could give them to 10 fucking people because you don't know you have it. We gotta do away. We're not helping, I suppose, but although I don't think we're making fun. But we really do got to do away with the. If it wasn't for this funny stigma that comes along with herpes, it wouldn't be that big of a fucking deal. Because I've told you, I have several friends that have herpes, and they're like, yeah, it sucks that when you get on your 3rd date and things are kind of rock and rolling. It's like, then you got to have that discussion if you're responsible. And then you just get past it, and then you deal with it. And it's one of the rare things that gets better as it progresses. Apparently your first breakouts are the worst, and then they get milder and milder and less frequent. And you can treat them with antiviral medication.
You sound educated.
I told you, I
1 out of 4.
I have talked a lot about STDs in general when I was, being very sexually promiscuous, but I always used a condom. But oral, not so much, and you can still get all those things with oral. Before we move on, I wanted to go back to Game of Thrones for a minute, though. I think we're far enough past this that I'll still say spoiler warnings, I guess. I'm sure there are people out there that still haven't marathoned all the way through it, but I'm curious what your guys' what was the most troubling scene or episode, or even just happening, like a one scene that was the most troubling.
Red Wedding was probably.
I think that's going to be high on people's list.
Yeah, up there for sure.
I mean, that scene with the Viper was tough for me too, because I love that character so much. And
when the Mountain takes his eyeballs and cracks his fucking head, that was mine. That's my number one, because they said Game of Thrones did this brilliantly all the time, but they set it up in such a way that you're like, this is amazing. This is the thing that you kind of been waiting for here, and here it is. And holy shit, he's kicking his ass. But then it gets too good, and you're like, this is too good. This it can't go this easily. And then that one, like, he swipes him with the rod or something. Maybe he trips him and gets him on the ground. Then it's over, and then it's like, holy shit. But
so
that skull crushing sound, man.
Yeah.
The one for me that I think was most disturbing, because it hasn't been like projected in any kind of like movie ever that I've ever seen, really, is the schlong severing of what's his name? He's one of the was he the brother of Stark?
Yeah, I don't remember any of their names. He was the
he's kept captive, and then he was
the guy they started calling. He started calling Reek, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty rough.
Theon Greyjoy.
It was really rough.
Theon.
He's basically what do you call him? Well, obviously without your junk.
Eunuch.
A eunuch, yeah. And then the other guy was a eunuch too. So you're like, you're aware of him being a eunuch because he's kind of like out about it. But then when that dude, that whole scene and that whole situation, I would say.
But that honestly, losing your dick was kind of the least of his concerns after a while. Well, that dude experienced just about every fucked up thing you could have.
Yeah, that's true.
There
was a part though when he did it, and the guy, that did it, he's sitting there eating looks like a hot dog. And you're like, no, just didn't. You had to rewind it and look, and no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Winner.
Pretty fucking brutal. Well, Tyson, thank you so much for joining us. It was fun to have you on.
Oh, it was a blast, guys. Really enjoyed it.
John Mark, keeping it up for the second, third time in a row.
I think that's at least two.
That's two in a row.
It's two. I can't remember if it's three or not, because that one was a long time ago.
We'll see if he.
Listen, you got one job, John Mark. You got one job, okay? Remember your streak.
The win.
Streak. All right, well, we're going to cut you loose, Tyson. I think we're going to do a little bit of feedback. Looking at the clock, we're still just shy of 2 hours. So why don't we end on a little bit of feedback and get on out of here. So thanks again, Tyson.
Thanks, guys.
It was good to see you at the Radar Dames event. I talked about you. I'm sure you heard it. I talked about how you were like, you did a triple point thing, and you were literally right in front of Lyle. I don't think you realized it. Or maybe you did.
No, I don't know what anybody looks like.
Yeah. That was good stuff. Anywho. All right. Well, thanks, my friend. We'll talk soon, hopefully. Let's get on to at least some of this feedback. I got to read. This is kind of a long one. Well, not too long, but I found this fucking fascinating. This is from LC in Montana. LC says, "Hey guys, I wanted to share something that I just found out about my grandpa. I knew that he was in the Air Force for over 30 years, but I never really heard many stories about it. But not long ago, I was having dinner with my fam, and my dad mentioned something about a secret base in the hills of Wyoming. Apparently, my grandpa was stationed there. I tried to do some research online about it, but I couldn't find much, so I called my grandpa to ask him about it, and he said it was deep in a rock-faced mountain structure, and a large portion of the rock formation was actually man-made. He said giant doors would swing open that would basically look like the entire mountain opening itself up to allow for large vehicles and pieces of equipment to come and go. He said they would only open it late at night.
Kind of reminds you of Area 51.
Yeah, well, that's the stories. That's what Bob Lazar said. There was, these big doors built into the side of a mountain and painted to look like sand. They even had like a sand texture coating on them. So when you look at them through satellite photography or up on, Peekaboo Ridge, back when you could climb it, it would look like sandy hills. He said that, my grandpa said that literally every state in the United States has a secret military installation, and almost nobody knows that fact.
That's scary.
Even people in the military don't necessarily know about it, apparently. I asked him what went on there, and he said essentially the same sort of things that go on at NORAD, with research and surveillance and all that sort of stuff. But she says, LC says, I don't know if it's a he or she, focused much more locally. As you may know, NORAD itself was originally located inside a mountain in the Cheyenne Mountain Complex of Colorado. I only recently learned that, actually. According to Gramps, every single state has one. That blew my mind. He laughed at my surprise and said people have no idea how much military they're constantly surrounded by everywhere they go. He said they were working on new technology for infrared equipment at this particular facility. He started to tell me the name of it, but then paused with that sort of military hesitation on his face. But before he stopped, I'm pretty sure he said something like the Red Rock something or other. Even though he has been retired for many years now, obviously some secrets are hard to let loose of. So make of that what you will. I've told a few people about this, and they mostly think he's pulling my leg, which is fair. They don't know him, but I do, and he is definitely not pulling my leg. I did ask him if he had been to any of these other hidden facilities, and he said a few, but they all talk about it over beers after hours, even though they weren't supposed to. He said working on these top secret projects and top secret facilities is a unique bonding experience for the workers and the soldiers. He ended our conversation by saying something that sticks with me. He sort of looked out the window and said, I'm always amazed how few people ever really talk about what's actually out there.
Mm-hmm.
Intriguing email there, LC.
Well, they say that there's like tunnels all the way from like California all the way to New York, and they're all like regular systems. They're all underground.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Would you?
Cities. There's no, not at all. Especially in the time frame that they had to build it would be. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And that goes to the reason that I wouldn't be surprised about these military installations. I mean, it's interesting to hear. But what do you need to do that? Money, time, and the grunt power to do it. Well, that's the government, and the military has plenty of that.
There was a city that was buried underground. It was a giant, kind of like what was described. Basically, gated, doored off and whatnot. It was only a few people that were able to rent a space there, and that's basically all you did is you rented a space there, and it was just a giant cavern, just a massive that you could fit like a whole, like maybe 2 or 3 city worth of people in it, and it was just dedicated for like when shit went bad, you know what I mean, like an atomic bomb or something that hit off. They could stay in there for a while, There's
quite a few of these, and provably there's ones that we know about, so you can imagine the ones we don't.
No, the one I watched was actually a documentary about it, and then they drove you around. They're in these little golf carts, and they're like, yeah, it just goes on forever. You
remember the Twilight Zone episode where I jumble a few of these episodes in my head, but I don't remember if it was a nuclear war or if it was some, like, they thought invaders were attacking. But either way, it was like this whole neighborhood was trying to get into this one bomb shelter. But there was only enough food and supplies for a few, so they had to figure out how to work that out. And in the end, some people were like, "If everybody can't be saved, then nobody could." It's an interesting dilemma, but it it rings true that a lot of folks don't want you knowing that they've got underground shelters that could survive, because obviously we would all want in.
Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, we were in the 80s was nothing but the Cold War, so you had to worry about people worried about it being bombed. And so I know of a handful of houses that had temporary bomb shelters in them.
Yeah, I love. There's one of these websites that are like cool and quirky homes. They did a collection of old bomb shelters that have been decommissioned and turned into cool living quarters or Airbnbs. There's some pretty fucking rad ones like there. Makes me think of that Brendan Fraser. Was that
time traveling? Yeah.
Well, no, it's like he was in the bomb shelter for like 30 years and then he crawls out of it. What the fuck was the name of that? But Alicia Silverstone, I think, was in it too. Anyway, fascinating email. Really appreciate that one. This one came from Julie, and she says, "Hey guys, love the show, and I always love when people write in to ask you random questions that you all have to answer. So I came up with one that I haven't heard you answer yet. If you could live in any movie forever, which movie would it be and why?" Now, I shot a text message to you guys earlier today so you could have time to think about it, because I gotta be honest, I thought about this for the bulk of the day before I came up with my answer. And I'll start it off, and it was hard. But what I landed on was Tim Burton's Ed Wood. Oh, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's in black and white, of course, starring Johnny Depp as the terrible but lovable filmmaker Ed Wood, who, of course, directed such epics as Glen or Glenda, Bride of the Monster, and his magnum opus, Plan 9 from Outer Space. But the story, the Ed Wood movie story, starts when Ed meets aging, drug-addicted Bela Lugosi, who was his hero, of course, and it follows their wacky adventures. They became friends, and they started making these movies together.
Yeah.
And there's like all these wacky low-budget films, horror and sci-fi, with a whole slew of kooky people from that era, including Vampira and Criswell. Criswell predicts by the year 1982, we'll all be living on the moon. That guy. And but the movie just has such a fun, oddball vibe to it. It's almost like a Frank Capra vibe to it. And I really do want life to be like this on a lot of levels. It's set in the 50s, but Ed Wood was not your typical 1950s sort of guy. He was a cross-dresser. He was friends with openly gay people, giant razzlers, two-bit playwrights, drug dealers, weirdo actors and performers of all sorts. And this motley bunch at one point all found themselves getting baptized by a Southern Baptist church because one of the funders for Ed's movies was a pastor that Ed convinced, if you give me money to make one big blockbuster sci-fi horror movie, say, then you can afford to make a whole bunch of church films. And it's a hilarious and sweet movie about an artist struggling to make his art, and he's obsessed and eternally optimistic about, well, we'll just get her next time, even though he's making complete shit. And of course, it's completely romanticized by Burton, but it was all based on real life stuff. But because of this kooky vibe and pinup girls, cool old cars, early Hollywood, zombies, flying saucers, grave robbers, what doesn't it have? It's a perfect world for the Ronster to set up permanent shop. I fucking love that movie, and I could see me living there. How about you guys? Chris, you there? Did you come back?
Yeah, I'm back. I struggled with this one a lot.
It's a hard question.
I landed on like Clerks though. I'd love, and just because it makes me laugh, and there are people I'd want to hang out with. I wouldn't want to be a clerk, but like I'd want to be one of the passerbyers. Somebody who live in that role.
Mm-hmm.
But I really had a hard time with this question. I don't know why. Because most of the movies I like are tragic.
It's a hard question. And I think it's the question that we will pose to our listeners this episode. Get on the old Facebook and drop us a line of what movie you'd like to live in and why. I could see Clerks being good for you. Smoke some pot, sit around talking Star Wars, playing video games.
$15, man. Put that in my hand.
Yeah. I think you're a pretty big Kevin Smith fan. I mean, right? I think you are.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Well, yeah, of course you are. You were on his show. And I could totally see that making sense for you. By the way, have they released? I saw that they were going to release the Clerks 3 trailer today or tomorrow. Is that
tomorrow?
Is that out? It's tomorrow. Okay. We'll have to wait. It'll be interesting. Lyle, what movie would you... were you done, Chris?
Yep.
Let John Mark go, and I'll go.
All right. John Mark?
Yeah, I had a really hard time with this, too, because most of the movies that I really like are not any
horrible places.
You would not want to spend any time in those worlds.
Right.
For the most part. But it just came to me. So I'm gonna say 2001. Because it seems to me, they don't really go into it, but it seems to me like by what's represented in the movie that humanity mostly has kind of its shit together at that point, since they're able to do the technological things they do, like with the space stations and all that stuff, right? And the ship to Jupiter and all that shit. So they seem like in order to do stuff like that, you have to cooperate with each other, right? So it seems like that particular world has gone into a future that's not quite as disturbing as some aspects of what we're seeing right now. So I'd say 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Oh, I can get behind that. That's stylish too. It's got all that great mid-century mod design.
Yeah.
Good one. Lyle?
So I missed the text. I think I was
wondered if anyone did.
Well, I always mute my phone when I'm in dialysis, so I don't even really look at it when I'm out.
Well, now you're on the spot.
I am on the spot, and I'm going to go with a childhood movie that I think all adored and loved, and I could only sum it up with one word by screaming out into the swamp, Atreyu!
Oh, there you go.
Could you imagine?
The old
just living
never-ending story.
Yeah, forever. Because that movie is actually...
Riding around on Falcor.
In that last tier.
Falcor? Yeah.
Falcor, yeah.
Turn around.
Turn around.
When you see... I remember being so shocked when I found out that was a dude singing that song. I always thought it was it's the Kajagoogoo guy.
Well, because I like a lot of movies, but they're, like John Mark said, they're all things.
Yeah, that's what's tough about this. It's like, oh, I love this movie. It's like, wait a minute, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near. And at first I was like, I was going to cheat and do Mad Men because that's such a stylish, but I was like, oh, that's a terrible time and a terrible example of, well, I'm a white, straight American man. So sure, I'd do fine in the Mad Men era. But yeah, I thought I'd go for a more fanciful version of, and more open-minded version of the 50s.
Yeah. Either that or like maybe Lord of the Rings would be kind of cool.
There you go. I bet a lot of people would say something fanciful like that.
Man, there's a lot of murdering happening during that time.
There's a lot of bad stuff, but
but
Life on the Shire, I mean, that seemed worth fighting for. Rivendell, that was the shit. That's where you want to go, is Rivendell. Even Rush wrote a song about it.
You want to go see those sexy elves.
Yeah, need some of that elf loving. Remember when Link, I think it was Zelda 2, when Link would go into one of the shacks where the woman was, and you wouldn't see what's going on, but when he came out, his health was magically restored. It's like, okay, he just fucked himself back to health.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they do in Rivendell.
That'll give you life, man.
It's real life.
Yeah, it's just like real life. Well, that's a great question. I appreciate that, Julie, because I am probably going to ask that in some of my interviews for the comment. People love getting quirky little questions like that they haven't been asked 1,000 times, and I think that might be one that makes some people think. I might add that to my Comet 8 questions and swap out some of the ones I've been asking. Well, moving on quickly to a few posts on our last episode on Facebook. Cheryl Martin says, Ron's etymology/entomology joke did not get the love it deserved. It was, and I agree. I totally agree. Thank you, Cheryl. It was kind of a highbrow dad joke, and I loved it. It was a highbrow dad joke.
I haven't listened to the episode yet, and I can't remember this moment. Can you highlight the jokes, or is it like?
You had a question. I don't remember what I think it was in one of the weird triv questions where I was trying to think of the name of. Oh, it was the fly question. Was it a cloud of flies, a swamp of flies, etc.? Sorry, etc. And I said something like, I'm trying to work through the etymology of the entomology, where the words came from, describing insects. But I appreciate your appreciation of my wordsmithing there, Cheryl. She goes on to say, my guilty pleasure song is Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne. Mm-hmm. She says it's fun. It's a fun, snarky song, and I can't resist singing along to it. Thank you for weighing in on that. Abby weighed in as well. She says, okay, well, you know me. I listen to whatever music I like with absolutely no shame, and it covers a great range of styles. But I am confident a fair portion of stuff I love could be considered guilty pleasure for most. So I'm going to tell you about the one that I think people would give me the most shit for, and that's got to be the Needin game. The Needin game by the Insane Clown Posse. Needin. I wish I knew what. I don't know anything about this. Oh, I don't know nothing, but I don't know much about the Clown Posse. I would probably never have listened to these guys if I hadn't met a girl in high school who just loved the Great Milenko album, and so I kind of got into it and ended up even buying a few ICP albums over time. The funny thing about this song is lyrically, it's just so inappropriate. I can't excuse the things they say in this song, but recite along with them perfectly anyway, because I basically know the whole thing by heart. Sorry, but not sorry. Also, I don't know if you have plans for future record club topics, but I thought of one that might be interesting. Each of you talking about what you suppose is your most played album. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Oh,
and I got a couple of guesses, but I think we should put that on the docket for a future.
I can tell you mine right now. Hopefully.
Yeah, you think you know it? So I thought I'd know it, but then I'm like, oh, but not now. I know it 10 years ago. Now, I don't know.
Well, no, I listened. Oh man, I listened to that thing so much. Operation Mindcrime.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I'd put that up there. I'd put up some Pink Floyd.
Zeppelin. A lot of Zeppelin.
Oh,
AC/DC.
God, definitely.
A lot of Metallica.
I didn't like AC/DC much when I was growing up because I thought.
Oh, I love it now.
I do too. I love a lot of it. I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but I think I had an association with it too, with a lot of the people that were huge fans in my life. I didn't like them, but anyway, that's a good idea, Abby, and I appreciate you sharing. I think Insane Clown Posse is a pretty good guilty pleasure. Sure. Ben Morhaime, our Ben, said, he shared a pic of his Starbucks mug and added, "This is a souvenir from my coffee slinging days, the in-between new and original logo. I worked at Starbucks when they brought the original logo back. Those were some crazy times." Thanks, Ben. And yeah, it sounds like there was a lot of uproar having seen them titties and a spread eagle mermaid. Sorry, Cyrene. And finally, and etc. And finally, Katie Surgery Jeff says, my ultimate guilty pleasure comes. Okay, let me start this again. Good thing we're almost done. My ultimate guilty pleasure song comes off of the album with the worst name of all time. That's right. Coming off of Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. You guys know what band? You must know.
Yeah.
By Limp Bizkit. And that is one of the worst album covers of all time. But the guiltiest jam is Rollin'. I am now shamed. Thank you for that admission, Catery. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Oh, let's get on out of here and have us a cheesy sandwich. Catering.
Catering,
Jeff. Go into catering and call it Catering Surgery Jeff's Catering. Or don't. Selling only Jesus Christ sandwiches. Okay. Well, thank you all for that feedback. And now you have your new homework. I love this question. What movie would you choose to live in and why? So weigh in on the next Facebook episode post and let us know. It's a fun one. And appreciate all of your feedback. I had more, but I'll save some of those. They're evergreen. We'll save them for the next roundup of feedback. Let's get on out of here because that third IPA is kicking right on in. Tune in next week, y'all. Catery. We will be talking about 9/11.
Are you in the car, Chris?
Yeah, where are you going, Chris?
Are you in the
I bet
car?
he's walking down the bar.
Don't you worry about it.
You walking down to play some pinball?
Pinball wizard.
I know that's why
I am. I apologize, but I don't apologize. Sorry, I'm wrapping up my podcast.
Attaboy.
I got a rent from a buddy.
Do what you do, baby.
Oh, you're actually in a car with somebody else.
Hi, Fran. I am.
What do you? Before we get out of here, Chris, what are you digging on lately down in Flipperland? What tables are rocking your mind lately?
The Godzilla machine is the tits. It's probably the best one we've seen in a long time. It's fantastic. So good.
Godzilla. Is that new?
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Is it based on any of the movies, or is it just kind of its own thing? Say again?
It's got tons of old footage from the movies and stuff. It's got tons of old footage.
Oh, like the old school shit.
Dude, that's rad.
LCD screen and whatnot. So I think it plays from all of them. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
all
like
right.
it's old school Godzilla. You know, and it's got great music. It's got like the Godzilla.
Oh, from Blue Oyster Cult? That's good shit. Some Enchanting Evening is certainly a record I'd listened to ad nauseum at one point. Good shit. All right, well, happy flipping, and I'll have to check that out. That sounds like my kind of tape. I have to add that to my Crackman machine.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, have a good week. Oh, so go ahead. No, I guess he's gone.
I think he was just saying see ya.
And by go ahead, I mean go ahead on.
John Mark actually brought it up, is that the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, has a lot of pinball games on an app. You kind of
replicas
filter through it, but dude, some of it's pretty fun. I've sat in
they're fucking great. Yeah, the ones I got on the Crackman machine are pretty antiquated, but the new ones are like, the graphics are so good, and the mechanics, they got the mechanics better. So I need to upgrade my shit. I think that machine is still on Windows 7, maybe XP. All right, y'all. Tune in next week. 9/11.
9/11.
Bye.
Bye.
But it was a wiener.